Hey everybody, this is Chiro at Midmoyo, and I have a craps question. Let's talk about it. So, this question comes from what happened to me this weekend in KC Harris, the casino that my wife and I went to for our anniversary. And it happened at the craps table while I was doing really, really good. I wasn't the shooter, but there was a couple of really good hot shooters, and I made a lot of money off of them. So I'm going to switch this camera over and I'm going to show you what I set up. All right. What you're looking at is a very light representation of what was going on my rack. Um, I had a lot of blacks as well, but I also had some pumpkin chips. I had about six of them, but I don't have pumpkin chips to show you. So I'm just going to show you a shortened version of what I had going on here. Now, you're going to notice here that these chips are separated. Somewhat of a protection. The table was extremely busy. We were all shoulder to shoulder. So I made sure that I was protecting from railbirds if there were any. But what I did was I separated my chips. In the very beginning, I started doing it like that just so I um, knew when I was back even and had a little bit of profit in my rack. So that way I can do other things. As it progressed, it continued on this way just so I knew, okay, well, I can bet, 200 on the five, 200 on the nine, and I just kind of left it this way. It worked for me for this run. It's not normally how I do my rack, but it did work for me for this run. So here's my question. It was time for me to leave. I made a lot of money. I mean, a lot. I even bet this table had 100 odds. I had a $10 bet on the pass line. And because I had so many of the pumpkin chips, I went ahead and for the first time ever bet $1,000 on the actual odds of him hitting it. The reason why, number one, why I did it is why not? I had made an awful lot of money already and I was going to give it one hell of a shot. And number two, this shooter, throughout his 30, 35 rolls, whatever it was, not only has he hit his point several times, and now the point is five, but he also hit fives many times when the point wasn't a five. So I was like very willing to bet on that. Even if I lost it, I still was way in the profit, so it didn't matter. Um, by the way, I won. He ended up hitting his five. A couple of other people on the table actually still, or they also had max bet on their odds. And so the table erupted like I have never heard anything before. It was very, very exciting. Very cool. But that's not what this question is about. I'm going to let you guys know that story and a couple other things in a trip report that I'm going to do. Okay, this question is about this. You're looking at my chips. It was kind of set up this way. I know it's not the same amount. It was kind of set up this way, and there was a lot of them. So now it was time for me, because the shooter that did fairly decent just rolled a seven. I had been at the table for probably about 3 hours now. It was time for me to leave. It was time. So here's where my question comes into play. These chips are in no organized fashion to hand over to the dealer. Now, I decide after that shooter just shot, okay, it's time. Now, I don't know about you, but to take the whites out of the reds. As you're doing this, you know, and I'm holding a camera, obviously, but it is time consuming. Now, I'm trying to do this in a manner where I can get these chips to the dealer so they can color me up, or at least he can pass them over to the box, and that way the game can continue on. What did I do wrong? That's actually kind of my question. It took a little bit of time. Nobody was pissed, guys. Everybody was kind of still determining what they were going to do. A couple of people were leaving. So it didn't take, terrible amount of time. But it did take me an awkward amount of time because there were a lot of chips that I had up here. And I had them in this fashion, the way that you see now. And so to remove the whites took a minute to take them away. So I had solid greens and then I could put them on the table, solid reds. And I fumbled with it a little bit because I was trying to hurry as well to move the game along. I was really not wanting to slow anything down. It didn't fare out horrible, but it did take me longer than what I wanted it to. So that is my question. What would you do in this situation? I want to know how you would handle your racks. Would you have done this? Obviously, if it was an issue for me, this might not be the way I should have set up my rack. It just kind of progressed this way because that's how I had it at the beginning when I first started playing. And so it just progressed this way. But I've got whites in between every 4 greens. I got whites in between every 5, indicating $500 stacks. So when it was time to color up, trying to remove these off of here and move them and get them to the deck so the dealer can grab them as fast as possible. Don't know if I did this part of it right, and I kind of wanted to, first of all, call myself out on it, learn something from it if I need to learn something from it, and hear from you guys to see how you would have done it if you had just a crap load of chips and it's time to leave. Let me know what you think. I'd very much appreciate it if you comment below, guys. If you like this content, please sub if you haven't already. And if you do know somebody who's interested in this content, let them know about it. I'm really close to 500 and I'm really making a push for it. So other than that, comment on this question below. I would love to find out how you would handle this. All right, guys, that's all I got for you this time. I will see you next time.